Welcome. Today we're speaking with Vince Reardon, author of the new book, The Pocket Mentor, Insider Tips from America's Most Successful People. What good advice did you hear from the people in your book?
The fifth piece of advice that I heard from a lot of people was that if you want to get anywhere in life, you've got to take risks. Big risks. Calculated risks, but big risks. One of my favorite quotes is by the Dean of American Business Practice, Peter Drucker. He said, "Most people who take risks generally make about 2 big mistakes a year." And Drucker also says, most people who don't take risks generally make about 2 big mistakes a year. So Drucker is implying, why don't you take more calculated risks? The people in my book believe that instinctively.
Who's a good example of a risk taker in your book?
There are a number of people in my book who are risk takers, but the one that comes to mind, the one I think about every day, every week, and I mean that literally, is David Lim. David Lim is a retired lieutenant police officer in the Port Authority Police Department. On the morning of 9/11, he was in the sub-basement of his office in 2 World Trade Center when he received a transmission over his radio that an explosion had occurred in 1 World Trade Center on the upper floors. He immediately locked his office and ran over to 1 World Trade Center, took the elevator up into the lobby, and he saw hundreds of people streaming down the escalators and coming out of elevators to get out of the building. And then within a minute or so, a body fell from the upper floors outside into the plaza. Lim knew immediately something very bad was wrong.
What did he do?
Well, he could have stayed in the lobby, and no one would have held it against him, he told me. But he realized that the need was probably greater upstairs. And that's where he went. He took the A stairwell and he went upstairs to the 44th floor, and he had a purpose in mind. He wanted to stand in front of the elevators on the 44th floor and direct people away from them to the stairwells. That was a much safer way to get down. You do not want to be in an elevator during an emergency for fear of power outage. And many people, sadly, were caught in elevators and died. So he went up to the 44th floor, he directed people away, and then 2 World Trade Center collapsed. So he knew that he was in imminent danger of 1 World Trade Center collapsing. So he began to shepherd people on the 44th floor to the B stairwell, and he went down with them. He was helping a woman get down the staircase. Her name was Josephine Harris. He got her down to about the 4th floor of the B stairwell when he heard the upper stories beginning to pancake. And he realized he had about 15 seconds, 20 seconds to live. So he put her down on the ground. And that's when I thought he was going to tell me I headed for the exit. But he didn't say that. He got down on the ground and covered her with his body. And the entire building came down. And what's incredible is that the building imploded, leaving the stairwell that he was in standing. He was on the 4th floor of the B stairwell. He thought he was dead. And then he coughed. And he said, "Dead men don't cough." Wow. To me, David Lim exemplifies risk-taking and tremendous physical courage. And I find his example inspiring to me daily.
Thank you, Vince.